Well, everyone, I'm with the SCL champ, the LFA champ, and undefeated featherweight, Justin Gonzales. What's going on, man?
Not a lot, man. Not a lot. Just relaxing. Got some work in this morning, hanging out, doing some school work, kind of just relaxing, watching some TV. So just relaxing before I go get some more work in later.
That's awesome. Before I get started here, you talking about schoolwork. So what's going on with the schoolwork here?
So a little bit about me, man. I have my bachelor's in exercise science and health promotion. So whenever I was about to graduate, some of my counselors were saying, they're like, dude, you got another year of eligibility. So, I mean, I think you should take advantage of it. So before I graduated, they were saying like the smarter choice would be you already got to the bachelor's, but you take a couple extra credits and take the right courses, you can get your emphasis in teaching as well. So with that, every 3 years, you have to renew, doing some continuing education, just making sure you're up with the times and relevant on laws and stuff like that. So that's what course I'm taking now. So just to keep my teaching license, you know, want to have some options whenever fighting's all done. So yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. So are you kind of going for the route of doing maybe a job on the side while you're fighting, or is it something to fall back on when you retire?
More so fall back on when I retire, you know. Just recently, probably about 6-7 months ago, I ended up quitting my job and becoming a fighter full time, man. I had to work, school, then train. So you know, I had the opportunity when I signed with Bellator. I was making enough money, put some money aside, kind of planned on this.
Yeah.
So it was really worth it and just kind of made sense, man. You get the opportunity, you bust your ass for this, and now you get the opportunity, you're not going to take it. Just doesn't seem logical to me, you know?
100%. Well, congrats on signing with Bellator. I know that's a big accomplishment of yours. And before we get any further, I just want to thank you for taking your time to come on the podcast here and let me interview you here. I know sometimes a fighter's life can get a little busy, so
absolutely,
I'd love to get started here.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me. I'm pumped.
Oh, no problem. So I guess first one is always a really good one here. Is what facilitated your decision to start fighting in the first place?
You know, it's funny, man. It's funny. You asked me what started fighting, and to be honest with everybody, I never really wanted to be a fighter. I was wrestling in college. I knew I was going to get my degree, so that was kind of my goal. I was going to go be a teacher, maybe a personal trainer, maybe I'll get my master's in exercise science, and kind of go that route. But it was the summer of my freshman year of college. I was just wrestling so much, and I was like, I'm pretty busy. I still want to train. I still wanted to stay active, but I just want to do something different, man. I was just kind of getting tired of just the same thing over and over. So some of my first wrestling coaches actually had an MMA gym here in Greeley, Top Notch Sports Academy, who I'm still with. I took some of my college wrestling buddies over there, and I was like, let's learn to throw our hands a little bit. Let's learn some different stuff. So we trained over the summer. It was almost coming to an end, and we were going to go back to wrestling. So they just kind of said like, hey man, you guys are actually really good at this. Like, you guys should consider getting a fight before you go back to school. I told one of my best friends, I was like, hey man, I'll do it if you do it. And we agreed, we did it. Both got he got the stoppage in the first, I got the stoppage in the second. And you know, he doesn't fight anymore, but he still comes and trains with me sometimes. So I just loved it, man. Never looked back. It was great, man. I tell people this story of I was 19 years old, man. I was a broke college kid, so making some money from ticket sales, you know, people buying me beers, dads introducing me to their daughters. I was like, damn, dude, this is the fucking life, man. This is what's up. I like it. So I never looked back, man. I loved it. You know, had to wrestle during the school year because I was on scholarship. And then after, as long as I was still training with the team, my coaches said, you can go do whatever you want. So.
Well, and then not to take anything from your wrestling credentials, but it seems like this was a bit of a hidden talent you just had to discover, and now you have it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I wrestled since I was 8 years old. I had some highest of highs, I had some lowest of lows, man, and just at one point, whenever I just kind of realized, man, like I could have probably done some shit with Greco. That was my thing. I was really good at, but I just had to be real with myself, man. There's not a lot of money to be made in wrestling.
Yeah.
Pursue that life of just, I think wrestling's honestly a lot more harder on the body than fighting. I just had to be real with myself of what's a realistic goal, what can I make happen. I think it made sense, man. Fighting was fun for me. It was a new challenge, learning some new skills, putting it together, and man, look at where I'm at now. So I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, talking about the beginning of your career here, you've had quite a few amateur fights. At what point did you know you were pro ready?
Shoot, man. We actually wanted to do it a little different than how we planned. We wanted to do some boxing smokers, take some boxing fights, some kickboxing fights.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just really hard with wrestling. You know, it took up a lot of my time and we didn't have a lot of time in between. So we were kind of like towards basically towards the end of my seasons, we'd kind of start doing some mitts and stuff and kind of getting ready for fighting. And it just seemed like, man, we were running out of opponents. People didn't want to fight us anymore as an amateur. And it was something I wasn't even sure if I was ready, but my coaches were like, you're more than ready. We actually went and fought with, it was called Fighter Source. They are an all amateur league where they find some of the best fighters from different states, all on the same goal, same kind of level as me, who are like trying to go pro. So basically you fight these guys from the different states, and then they find an amateur fighter from Brazil. And then if they win their tournament, we win our tournament. You match up, see who the real deal is. And then the thought was that they would offer you a pro contract at the end of it. And unfortunately, there was just a lot of crazy stuff going on in Brazil. We just had some difficulties. So I won the US tournament for my weight, and we just ended up not getting to go and do that. So I took one more amateur fight just to make sure I was ready to go. And then we never looked back, man. There was just like, you're taking these fights, you're knocking everybody out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
run out of people. You need to start getting paid for this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was kind of just made sense, seemed logical.
Well, and then obviously you had some fights in the SL or SCL, excuse me, and
Yes.
you won the title there, and then you go on and you win the LFA title. So
Yeah.
at that point, winning, not just winning a belt, defending it, and then go ahead and win another belt. At that point, did you know that a UFC or a Bellator contract was on the horizon?
Yeah, man. My career's been fun, man, and that's I've had a lot of talks with my coaches that, like, I'm maybe I'm not the biggest talker, man. I'm a man of action. You can talk the talk, but I feel like I'm
You let the
walking.
fight do the talking for you.
Yeah. So we knew, just being on Contender Series, winning SCL belt and running that for several years, then winning the LFA belt, man. We knew something was happening, man. Something was happening. Like, it seemed a little long overdue in my eyes. There was people, we were running out of people to fight. They had to pull people from out of the country sometimes, and just, it was really interesting, man. It was a weird spot to be in of, I don't know, man. I'm a firm believer of, like, a lot of people are trying to pad their records now. And I'm like, I'm not about that life. I'm like, I'd rather challenge myself. And if I happen to take an L, I'll take that L, but I'm going to learn from it. At least I know I'm ready. At least I know I fought the best I could, versus some of these guys who are fighting tomato cans who end up being undefeated, and then they get there and then they get embarrassed. It's just like, the truth will come out eventually, so just not the way I live my life, man. Never been about that. Like, I'm all about competition, and we're kind of living in a world where we're a little soft right now. Maybe some people get offended, or some people are trying to live that life. I'm like, Nah, man, fuck that. Let's put our O's on the line. I've taken a lot of people's O's. I still got mine. So I think that just proves what I'm about, man.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point about fighting people versus whole like building a record. Kind of like what boxers do.
Yeah.
And one of the guys I had on my podcast, Anthony Taylor, I don't know if you know him, he actually sparred
Oh,
Jake Paul a while back, a
yeah.
couple weeks ago. I had him on and he talked about it. And I think there is a lot of truth to that. I think you need to be able to challenge yourself. Even if you get that loss, you learn more than you just lose.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you can become more of a complete fighter challenging yourself versus I'm going to fight all these guys. I know I can win. It'll hold up my record. But the problem is then when you get to someone that is going to challenge you and you lose, you don't learn anything as you go. And I think
No,
that's what's made you so successful.
absolutely. It's just it's interesting, man. Like I said earlier, is like you see a lot of these guys who pick, and I'm not saying don't be smart about these fights that you're taking. I would never say that to anybody. But at some point in your career, if you're serious about this and you really want to grow and you want to level up, you got to take those challenging fights, man. Like we fought a lot of different guys and we did it the right way. We could plan our camp kind of around it and kind of keep growing as a fighter of, okay, we're going to fight a guy with hands and then we're going to figure it out. We're going to find a way to beat him. We're going to fight a guy who's a black belt in BJJ. We're going to find a way to beat him. You know, put me up against another good wrestler, man. That's cool. I'm well-rounded. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what I'm about. So it's MMA. You got to learn it all. You got to know it all. It's mixed martial arts. So, and I try to tell people that, and it's kind of cool because I'm in a spot where I can kind of share my knowledge with some of these up and comers in our gym, and they take it and they listen and they value what I have to say, which I think they should. You know, it's I've lived it. I've been where they've been, and look at how far I've come. So there's a way to go about it. I think you pick certain fighters, but you still got to challenge yourself, and you still got to sometimes roll the dice of like, yo, this guy's dangerous, man. But that should excite you. If that doesn't excite you, man, maybe you're in the wrong game.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
And I guess you're born and raised in Greenland, Colorado. Obviously, you got the big cities, Denver. I mean, you got places like Denver and the Springs there, and bigger cities like that. But you being able to win 2 belts, is it kind of a cliche thing to say? I mean, you got to bring them back home and do a mini tour. Like, what was the experience of doing something like
Now I want to think of how to say this real quick. Greeley's I love Greeley. I love this place, man. I put on for my city, and I think I'm very proud to come from here. But there's not too many big names that come from out of here. You know, it's just the way that it is. You know, so being able to do this and do it the right way and just show these kids, man. I coach a lot of kids. I'm a mentor. I'm a leader in the city, and people know who I am, and they support me in my dreams, which is really cool. Just being able to show that, like, hey, man, if I can do it, any one of you guys can do it, you know, and
100%?
just do it the right way. So I take a lot of pride in that. You know, it's cool to be able to say, like, represent Greeley and just kind of put our city on the map, man. I know we got plenty of other guys in the gym. We got some young wrestlers who are making moves. So I'm not the only one, but it's kind of cool to say that we all came from the same gym. We all grew up knowing each other as kids, and what we're doing is working. So it's just really cool for me to be able to do that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And talk about your contender series. I mean, obviously, you won. I mean, I think everyone could say that you won that, 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But you didn't get the contract though. Now Dana White in an interview he was talking about how he didn't get to see enough, and sometimes getting the finishes it's just a myth. But he didn't see enough. What do you feel like? Maybe you should have done more in that fight. Are you kind of against what he said? What were your thoughts?
Man, I got some mixed feelings about it, you know. I mean, they kind of hurt my feelings there for a while, I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I try not to take shit too personal, you know.
Mhm.
There's a lot of haters out there, so you just got to kind of like, you know, have you ever fought? Like Dana, have you ever fought? I don't know if he has or not. I don't care, man. It
Yeah.
doesn't really bother me what he's doing. I'm focused on me. But you know, if you looked at my fights, man, you've seen I've knocked people out. You've seen I can wrestle, and there's a lot of parts of my game that I haven't even exposed yet because I haven't had to. You know, I used to work labor for a long time, and one of my coaches brought this up, and just the way that he said it, it just hits so hard. It's
Hmm.
if you're a handyman, for example, and you're gonna go, let's say you're gonna go hammer something into a wall, you're not gonna whip out your saw. Why would you do that? You got it in case you need it,
Hmm.
but why are you gonna whip it out if you ain't gonna use it? You know?
Well,
So
it's interesting you bring that up because there's a lot of great fighters out there that their whole career you see them and they're just winning all their fights, standing up, or they're all on the ground, and then you see one fight where they come out and it's like when did like when did we ever see you do this? So it's good that you bring that up, and I guess I had the mixed feelings when Dana White when I saw him say that. It's like, yeah, that's great, but not every fighter you're going to be able to showcase that because you don't need to, right?
nah,
Like you
and
said.
like, you know, I'm not a man of excuses. I was battling some injuries, and it was just a big opportunity that I didn't want to pass on. You
100%.
know, I wanted the world to see what I was about, see what I could do, and coming up against a guy who, let me see, I want to say at the time he was on a 9 fight win streak. 8 of those wins were first round knockouts,
Yeah.
and I couldn't pivot to my left side due to some injuries. Not very smart of me to stand and bang with this guy if I'm circling to his power hand. You know, I'm not dumb. I'm not. I'm smart enough to know that's probably not the best way I should fight this guy. So when we took the fight, I told everybody, I told my manager at the time, I told my coaches, I was like, hey, we're going to take this fight, but I'm going to do it my way. So just, we got to do it this way. I don't care what the results are. I don't care. Uh, I just want the world to see what I'm about. And I did that. I did what I was supposed to do. I can understand he wants a little bit more excitement, but you know, let's look at some of the top guys in the world. I mean, let's say I'm with Bellator. That's who I'm with, so that's who I'm focused on. But for this case, it's say if we did go back to the contender series and looking at the champs at the time, I mean, Henry Cejudo, wrestler, Khabib, grappler, I mean, Usman, wrestler, you know,
Mhm.
there's a similar trait there. There's a correlation there. So
Well, and I mean, focusing on Bellator here now, you got to sign with them. How did that process work out?
it was interesting, man. There was a couple different promotions hitting me up. There was a lot, and it was just a lot to take in. Some were overseas, and I just kind of was sitting, thinking, pondered all the opportunities, man. It was a lot. I just you're chasing this goal for so long, and then it's finally in your grasp. It's a little
Right.
exciting, you know. So you don't want to just like freak out and jump on the first thing that comes. So you're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's weigh out the options. Let's think logically. And then plus COVID was around, so I had to kind of take into consideration like what was real. What's you know, is traveling overseas going to realistically happen with all these travel bans and stuff? Was so a couple people made some offers. Bellator sweetened the deal for me, and they worked with me since I was kind of battling some injuries and stuff. And then so now we're set to fight here in June 11th, man. So just it's a cool process, man. I'm pretty blessed to live the life I do. Not many people can say they truly love what they do. And I mean, beating people up and getting paid for it and getting glorified for it doesn't get much better than that.
Awesome. So you're fighting number 9 ranked featherweight, Tywin Claxton.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's the feeling being able to not just fight somebody in your debut, but you're going to be fighting the number 9 ranked featherweight in your debut?
This is perfect for me, man. This is exactly what I want. The whole thing about competition, I'm not dumb, man. I understand. I'm the new guy on the block. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm the man, dude. I'm the man. So, it's kind of a good starting point for me with Bellator. I get to jump assuming I win. I'm pretty confident. I should jump in the rankings right away. And then I got a couple more fights on my contract. So I'm assuming I'll keep climbing the rankings throughout those fights. Not too crazy to think an early fight in my next contract, I can be fighting for the belt, man. I want Pitbull's the man right now. He's champ for a reason. Kind of a scary dude. Respectfully, I would love to fight that guy, man. Like, I want a piece. He's got everything that I want. If I want to be the man, I want to be number one pound for pound. I want to be the best in the world, the best to ever do it. I got to take that guy out, man. It's just the way it's got to be. I say this quote all the time. So, like, back to Taiwan Claxton is, he stands between me and my goals. So in order to reach those goals, just the way it has to be, man, I have to crush his. So
now, this guy, I mean, fellow Colorado fighter, training over at Team Elevation. They're always known to have great guys coming out of that camp. So what are you expecting from this guy?
I'm not dumb. I did my research on him. He's a southpaw. He's a wrestler as well. So I mean, he's training with some tough guys. I actually used to go train at Elevation for my camps, go get some rounds in with those guys. But, since I'm fighting their guy, it's not very wise of me to try to go up there. So, but shit, man, it's cool, man. I got killers in my gym too, man. I got all the resources I need. And I expect it to be a war, man. I'm ready for whatever he's got for me, man. It's I was trying to fight sooner. I don't know if it was him. I don't know if it was managers. I don't know if it was camp, whatever. They wanted to bump it back. So I'm in shape, man. I'm already in shape. I'm feeling great. My body feels great. Mentally, I'm great. I trying to kind of time this right, so I'm peaking at the right time. Sometimes it's a little bit easier just to go hard all the time, but you don't want to peak too early because then it's really hard to peak again. So, but I expect him to try to come at me, try to push me up against the cage, as a wrestler, that's kind of what you like to do, but I got some things in store for him, man. We've been playing with some different stuff that I'm really ready to showcase. And shoot, man, to be honest, people haven't seen me fight. By the time I fight, it's going to be almost a year. I think it'll be 364 days since I've fought. So I had a lot of time to play with some different stuff and really elevate my game. So, I mean, I think you guys are going to see a whole new J Train, man. It's just be excited for it because I'm trying to fuck this dude up, if we're being honest.
And what kind of statement is the J Train trying to make?
Yo, man, I'm coming in to get that stoppage. I want the whole world to know what I'm about. I want Bellator to know we ain't here to fuck around. And shoot, man, I'm hoping I can get in that fight, put this dude away pretty quick, and jump on another one fairly quick. So that's what I'm trying to do.
And being, I think that we can say that at least in the United States, you guys are pretty much past the COVID era. I would think.
Pretty close. There's still some stuff going around, but like Weld County, where we eliminated the mask mandate. I know there's probably like 15 states right now that have done that. Colorado, I'm not sure if they're as a state they have, but in our county they have. It's up to the businesses, which I fully support, man. I think that's the way it should be. If you're not comfortable, I'll wear my mask out of respect for other people. I wouldn't want somebody going around my family if they had COVID and spreading it around. But at the same time, if you're scared, man, you should live a little bit of a different life, But I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not the expert on this. So who am I to say? But yeah, things are opening up here. I love it. Gyms are open. As I get a little bit closer, I just got to be a little bit careful about what I'm doing, who I'm spending my time with, who I'm being around, just because if I test positive, I can't fight. And if I don't fight, I don't get paid. So,
But that being said, I mean, I guess, as you mentioned, I think that the United States is making that curve. You're not seeing as many cases. I don't think you're seeing as many fighters pulling out of the fight because of due to COVID. You're
Absolutely.
starting to really see the decrease in that. Does that kind of give you a little bit of comfort that you're hoping that your opponent's going to come in nice and clean, healthy, and ready to go?
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Yeah.
I just like, I know it would be a bummer for me if he tested positive and I couldn't fight. It would burn me out. And I know the same for him. I'm sure he's trying to get paid too. So, I think out of respect, just as an athlete for one another, you're doing the right things, you're taking the right precautions and whatnot. But I just love seeing the nation kind of open back up, man. I think a lot of people got really messed up with this COVID, of being on this lockdown, being on quarantine, man. It's taking away some of your civil rights of just being able to live. It sucks, man. It sucks. It's not nobody wanted this. I mean, I'm such an extrovert. I like to go out and mingle. I like to go talk. I like to go see my people. I like to go to the gym. I like to, such a busybody, busy person. So, shoot, man, it's kind of messed with me a little bit, kind of messed with my training, messed with my day-to-day life. But, we're almost through it. So just, we're almost through it.
I can't say the same here in Canada. our our gyms are still closed. We're all in lockdown again. Our cases are skyrocketing. We're kind of like how the States were back last year in like almost like October, November, when it was really getting out of hand. It was getting nuts. So our gyms are still closed. Everything's still closed here. I can't even work out. I can't train. I can't do anything. It's kind of like doing everything at home. So
it's hard, man. Like I feel for those people who kind of maybe moved here for school and they were stuck in a lease, or like, they're here and maybe they don't have family here. They don't have a lot of friends here. It's a lot different. Like me and my friends were still kind of hanging out. We'd go hit mitts in their garage or something, or we'd go on a run. And then, so I was still staying busy throughout it all. And that kept me sane, because if I was on lockdown and I couldn't do anything, man, I would lose my shit. There's no way. But I had to have some sort of social interaction. So like for those people who don't get that and can't do it and they don't have anybody here, like, I got roommates, so I still see people all the time. I got my dog right here laying next to me. So, it was a little different for me. So I can't say I was in the situation that everybody else was in, but, I feel for those people. I really do.
Mhm. No, I just wanted your quick thoughts. You got a big card this weekend. Obviously, I know you're signed to Bellator, but I'm sure you might be watching the UFC card this weekend. I know a lot of people will be. Your thoughts, Usman and Masvidal too. Who you got?
That's a tough one. I'm a huge Masvidal fan. I really am, man. I like what the guy's about. I like him as a fighter. He brings it. His background, his culture. He just keeps it real. He keeps it 100, man. That's what I'm all about. I fully support that. But I just feel like Usman mixing up with Trevor Whitman, his striking is going to be really diverse. Him being that high level wrestler, he's the boogeyman of that division for a reason, man.
Yeah.
He really is a problem, man. And just the way he put away Gilbert Burns was just dangerous, man. Very dangerous. Much respect to Masvidal. I was a big fan of his. I really want to say I think Usman's going to take the dub.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are saying the same thing. You want Masvidal to win, but your heart and your mind goes to Usman.
It's just being a wrestler too, it's kind of hard to go away and just seeing the things that he's done, man. He's a big 170 pounder, man. This guy is ginormous for that weight. I'm surprised he makes the weight, but I think it plays a factor for sure.
And that being said, talking about another guy here, Patricio Pitbull. I know you talked a little bit about him at the beginning of our interview. So with this guy, he's a beast. Everybody knows it. Everyone in Bellator knows it. So what is it takes to beat this guy?
Man, he's skilled all the way around, man. It's something I haven't focused too much on. I recognize who he is. I've recognized what he does. but when the time comes, I'll be ready, man. It's going to take a very diverse fighter, a very tough fighter, somebody who's not only has the skills to do it, but they're smart enough to do it, to put up a game plan and be able to adapt and kind of improvise as needed. Not a lot of people do that, man. Not a lot of people have it. Like some people, like I said earlier, have the skill set of maybe just grappling, or maybe they have the skill set of just hands. Not a lot of people have it all. And I feel like I'm growing, I'm becoming that person. But then it comes other things, man, of like, are you gonna outwork this guy? Are you doing the right things in and out? Are you eating the right diet? Are you getting the rest? Are you out partying? Things like that, man. Like sometimes you just gotta be smarter and just understand the game and understand how to win. Like I'm not gonna lie, man, I like to party. I go celebrate after my wins, and like whenever I'm not in camp, I'll go have beers with my friends all the time, But there's a time whenever you gotta turn it off and you gotta start locking in. So I feel like I'm pretty good at that. I understand what my people around me understand that. So whenever I tell them no, I'm not going out, or no, I'm not drinking, they know what's up. They fully support me. They want to see me succeed. So anybody who doesn't get that, like, you don't give a fuck about what I got going on. So fuck you. It's kind of like that, kind of just the way it is.
Of course.
So
Excellent. And lastly, I know you mentioned you're not really much to talk trash. You just kind of do the fighting. The fighting does the talking for you. So, do you have a message for that featherweight division? If you can.
yo, man, take notice of who the fuck I am, because I ain't coming here to fuck around, man. I mean, like, you'll see June 11th, you'll see what I'm all about. So I want the whole division on notice. I'm coming. So just be on notice. Stay tuned. Bellator 260, June 11th. It's the J Train show now.
Well, Justin, that's awesome to hear. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast here and letting me interview you here again. It's been nothing but a pleasure having you on, and good luck with your fight on June 11th.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the love, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem.